Hi everybody, welcome into episode 10. This is number 10, fellas, of Scores, Goals, and Touchdowns. New guy on the show, Derrick Lawson, host of the main event Saturdays, 9 a.m. on WSUT 88.3 FM. We have Arnold, our soccer guy, and Nick, also a big fan of soccer.
Love it. Riveting.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely.
I know you're being sarcastic, but I mean, we're going to start off.
I'm being slightly sarcastic, but it was a very good game.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to start off. We didn't get a chance to talk about it last time. Brazil-USA, I got to say, was one of the most entertaining games I've ever seen in any sport. You had U.S. down a player for almost an hour. They scored the last possible moment, the latest goal in World Cup history. Just Megan Rapinoe on an unbelievable cross to Abby Wambach, who does what she always does with the header. I gotta say, did you guys watch that game?
Absolutely.
What were your thoughts on it?
I thought the referee was doing anything and everything possible to get Brazil to win the game. After Solo makes an unbelievable save on the first PK that sent the player off in the United States, and then all of a sudden it has to be retaken with no explanation why.
And the next Marta,
Marta was by all accounts the female Lionel Messi, the best player in the world for the last 5 years. And she drills it in, it's 1-1, and the U.S. is down a player for the rest of the game, and then in this extra time. And I thought, as soon as Brazil scored, as soon as Marta scored that wonderful goal, right at the beginning of extra time, I thought it was
one of the coolest things was, it's not often you get a team, you get a place in Europe, the whole place chanting USA, especially East Germany.
Yeah, Dresden.
That was cool. Like I said, like I mentioned in the last Pat's piece that I did, the bad thing about soccer is the flopping. Oh my God, that was seeing that girl just like Ghana had to be stretchered off, and as soon as she gets out, you can see her ripping off the restraints. How big a problem is that in soccer?
I think it's a big problem. I think it kind of gives soccer kind of a bad image to be flopping like that. I mean, if you're gonna flop, at least be great at it. You know, at least sit out at least 2 minutes.
Well, like playing up fouls is prevalent in any sport.
Right.
Basketball, hockey, football, any sport. I mean, how many times do you see a receiver go wide open down the sideline and throw up his hands looking for a flag? I mean, it's all part of the theatrics of selling the foul to the officials. But in soccer, it's the worst out of any of the sports. It's so disappointing.
They actually teach it.
South America. Well, flopping is one of the main reasons why soccer doesn't have a better reputation as it does now. We saw in the Brazil game all the flopping around by the Brazilians, especially late, trying to stall time. And the whole irony of that was that it led, the extra time the referee put on, led to the Wambach's goal that tied the game, sent it to PKs, the United States won.
As they say. Absolutely. It's almost like Rocky IV when the Russian crowd turns on Ivan Drago and they start chanting for Rocky, and the Prime Minister gets very upset. Kind of like the Brazil-United States game.
If you can change.
I can change. You can change.
Yeah, I'd actually be honest with you, I'd actually had turned the game off. I thought USA wasn't going to win. It was down 2-1. They were like, oh, regular time's over. I'm like, oh, okay, they're done. They were tired, and I said, I'm going to go back and work on my car. I come out an hour later, and you know, they had the announcers, Chastain and Fowley. Fowley was there, and it was also
the coach of the 1919.
Right, yeah, they all had smiles on their face, so obviously I'm thinking, did USA win? And then they start talking about 99 and reminiscing. I'm like, oh my God, they actually won. So
right, back from the dead.
I wasn't in the States a year ago when Donovan had that goal against Algeria, but I was at a bar in Kentucky, in Lexington, Kentucky, when Rapinoe to Wambach happened, and the place exploded. Like, you wouldn't believe, like, in Lexington, Kentucky, you would have thought University of Kentucky just won a basketball championship. The place was just on fire.
I mean, that was one of the most beautiful kicks I've ever seen. I mean, she puts it right above the defender, right where it needs to be, like 35 yards out.
With her non-dominant foot.
That was incredible.
And well, it helps that Pittsburgh, New York's own Abby Wambach is 6'1" and can pretty much get anything out of the sky.
Giant.
Now, U.S. beat France 3-1. France dominated early, and as soon as they brought in Rapinoe, the whole thing just kind of changed up. I think Rapinoe should be starting. Everything she's done, she's huge to the team. What do you think? Do you think it's better for her to come off the bench or for her to be starting?
She's super sub. I think she's perfect in her role right now. We don't know what coach will do for the game today, obviously, against Japan, but why change what's not broken?
Right, it's almost like she's like an energy guy off the bench, kind of like Bob Warrior or Steve Kerr. You can always count on her coming off the
My
bench.
man Bobby Jackson.
Bobby Jackson, exactly. They come off the bench, they can give a lift to the team when they need it.
I think I noticed from that game was it looked like there was almost a momentum change when France made the substitution from offense or from defense to offense. I don't know if you remember. It was just before Wombat scored in the 79th minute.
Yeah.
They made a sub, and I was thinking, why are they doing that? You know, your defense is helping you contain USA. Eventually, they're going to get tired. Maybe you might get a goal here and there. They did that, and then USA scored, and the momentum changed right back to the United States.
France was probably playing to their advantage, the fact that the United States was so exhausted after the emotional roller coaster that was Brazil.
And they were in their zone most of that second
They
half.
dominated the run of play
And then
almost the entire game.
once they made that sub,
Especially once Wombat scored, the French
Right,
conceded.
yeah,
The French,
the
the
French
French
see there.
folded like the
Yeah.
French always do.
like a piece of paper,
Now, we
like a
have
bad deck of cards.
the World Cup's being played. The final is later today, Sunday, but we got a lot of interesting stories going on. We have Hope Solo, actually, last World Cup, she didn't get to play against Brazil. They lost 4-0. She was understandably upset, actually got voted off by her team. Her teammates suggested that they wanted her out. She ends up, she doesn't quit, comes back to the team, is the star of the team. I mean, Wombat's been great, but Hope Solo is the star. And then you have Japan, who had that terrible tsunami, lost a lot of people. This game is huge for both sides.
Right. Lots of international intrigue, as they say.
Right. And who thought Japan would be here? This is their first time ever in a Women's World Cup final.
Right.
And they knocked out the host and twice defending champion Germany in the quarterfinals.
Right. It's like the last time the women won the World Cup. You know, Brady Chastain was kind of the storyline. This time it's Hope Solo. You know, badass goaltender of the future, like playing really well. So.
All right, really quick before we wrap this up. You guys watching? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. You can. I mean, this isn't the women's shirt, but come on,
Yes.
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah, I was watching.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll give a peek of it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and come back. Welcome back, everybody. We finally have good news when we talk about the NFL lockout. The owners and the players agreed to the rookie wage scale, which I got to say, is a long time coming. I mean, it's ridiculous. A guy's getting more than a veteran who's played for all those years when he hasn't even taken a snap yet.
Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, God.
That was L. Davis's fault.
David Carr, Alex Smith.
Even Matt Stafford.
No, I don't know. That
Plenty-
jury is
plenty of
out.
time,
Yeah,
plenty
plenty
of
of
time.
time.
With all the money he's getting before we even take a
I
snap.
still say Jamarcus Russell should have given at least half of his signing bonus to the Notre Dame defense in the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
Because they made him look like Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, you guys, what are your thoughts on the wage scale? I think it's a great idea. How about you?
I think it's a great idea as well. I like that after 4 years, you're a free agent instead of signing like a 7 or 8 year deal where you're getting paid, you know, $8 million a year. A lot of these teams are bad teams. They're almost getting forced into spending money on players when they could be spending that kind of money on 3 or 4 impact players at once instead of just one guy like a quarterback or an offensive lineman.
Isn't there a monkey wrench into that? But I mean, the contracts aren't really guaranteed.
Right.
And the contracts have those loopholes where most of your stuff is signing bonus and incentives.
Yeah, right.
If these guys aren't making incentives, are you really losing money? Think about
Well, I
it.
mean, they always publicize like this contract has X amount of guaranteed money.
Right.
And for a lot of these franchises, that's a lot like the Carolina Panthers, you know, that's a lot of money for a small market team like that.
How much Sam Bradford got, like $42 million guaranteed?
Yeah.
Sam Bradford also took the Rams to the
Yeah.
playoffs, so it's like that
Before
investment.
Right.
all the questions.
Yeah, it's like Matt Ryan once in a while.
Right.
There's that gem, that diamond in the rough,
Right, yeah.
even though they're not really
Or
diamond.
for every
round
Sam
picks.
Bradford and for every Matt Stafford, hopefully you also have
Jamarcus
Russell, David Carr, David Klingler. Oh, that's too far back. But
Yeah.
Houston, 92.
yeah, well,
Mhm.
great pick for the Bengals there. That one.
Absolutely, that was the bad year.
Well, bad year.
They're good at
They're about
drafting
20 bad
quarterbacks.
years.
All right, and
Bad.
I was listening to the radio. They brought up Jake Locker,
Mhm.
and it was Jonathan Coachman, who I like.
Yeah.
I'm with it. But
It's got a good pass.
yes, they brought up how with Jake Locker going back a year, he came into the year they had the rookie wage scale, so he ended up losing millions. He's ending up getting $5 million a year, but to these guys that was like, oh my God, he's losing so much money.
Right.
Are they so out of touch that $5 million is something to sneeze at, or is that just the way of the times? I mean, I love $5 million a year.
But you gotta compare it to the NFL playing scale. To us, $5 million is a lot. We're average Joe.
Yeah.
But when you get into that world of millionaires, that's a lot. I mean,
Right.
like that one NFL player that killed himself. He killed himself from the Broncos. He killed himself primarily because he wasn't making the money that Tim Tebow was making. He felt inferior. So when you start hanging around those type of people, your perspective kind of changes. Now, $5 million, I'll take $5 million.
Money has a great fantastic.
Right, money is the great equalizer, as they say.
Right.
But Jake Locker, it seems like he got his education. I mean, you can only play football for so long.
Right.
I mean, we've talked ad nauseum on the show about how your average NFL career is like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do after those years? You're just going to sit around and keep cashing your checks and hope your money lasts. He has an education. You go do something besides football, get into business, something like that.
Yeah.
Sell insurance.
Matt Leonard did the same thing. He went back and lost a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
You learn ballroom dancing now. You can always use that later.
And knocking up basketball players.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, the NFL lockout, the word is, could be settled by the 21st of July this month. I'm really excited. I love football. I'm more excited for fantasy football. I mean, I can finally might be able to crawl out of second to last and last place that I've been for the past 2 to 3 years in my own league.
Wow.
Yeah, it hasn't been pretty.
It could be worse. You could have the number 2 overall pick and take Aaron Rodgers like some bonehead like I did.
Well, we'll start off with me. I drafted Tom Brady and he got hurt.
Yeah.
That was my downfall. All right, we're going to move past a bit about the NFL. We got James Harrison's article. Words can't even describe how incredible this article is. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Derrick, tell us your thoughts.
Well, one of my thoughts is that James Harrison has to probably look at towards the future. Right now, you're at the top of your game, you can say what you want, and teams are probably still go after you, but later on in your career, when your skills start to diminish, people are going to blackball you, or the owners are.
Yeah, he's already in his mid-30s anyway. He's like 33, 34,
Right.
so he's one injury away from having his career pretty much disappear.
And you're going after your boss's boss's boss, the guy that's the ultimate guy.
Who has the power to suspend you. He has his
Right.
career, Goodell has his career in the palm of his hand, but can he do anything against the lockout though?
Once the lockout's over, remember,
Yeah.
owners have long memories.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's already took $100,000 out of Harrison's pocket. I mean, that was just last year.
Right. And it's almost disappointing because like the Steelers are such a proud franchise that they keep having these players just shoot themselves in the foot to say, Ben Roethlisberger's legal trouble, say Antonio Holmes. I mean, it's just
Right.
Heinz
And
Ward
then
now,
the
get
bad-
about Heinz Ward now.
Yeah.
The bad part about it is he went after Goodell, but then he went after his teammates.
Oh,
And they only made
Yeah,
one tackle in the Super Bowl.
Right, and he calls Mendenhall a fumble machine when he has 1 fumble, 4 fumbles off how many carries he had last year, and 1 of them was in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But remember, Harrison is also the same guy when Goodell said they were going to crack down on illegal hits, that Harrison said he was going to quit and walk away because
Take
they're
the ball and
cheating.
go
Yeah,
home.
he's going to take the ball and go home.
Remember, NFL's a privilege.
Yeah. What a jackass.
All right, we're going to move past the jackassery and we move on to baseball. Derek Jeter had his 3,000 hit, joined the 3,000 hit club, 28 other members. I was listening on the radio. Jim Thome is 5 away from 600 home runs. That's 595. Did the math myself. Now, the talking heads, they were saying that Jeter's was more impressive. I got to disagree. 600 home runs, only 7 other people have made it. What about you guys?
I think they're both kind of interchangeable in terms of which is more impressive. 3,000 hits and 600 home runs are both symbols of how long you've been productive in the game. I mean, these guys have been playing for 15, 16, 17 seasons.
Yeah.
But I give the slight edge to Jim Thome.
Well, like I said, steroids. I think it's kind of tainted the home run records. And there's a group of guys that have the asterisks that you do not know, like Sammy Sosa. He's got over 600 home runs.
Right.
You really want to be associated with him and Bonds and McGuire.
Right, but on that same token, though, that Jim Thome and like your Ken Griffies have never been mentioned in the steroids talk.
Right.
So.
And Tome's been a power hitter his entire career.
But it's unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
They're grouped with them, unfortunately.
What's a shame for Jim Thome?
All right, we're going to take a quick break and do Pat's piece. I like the baseball all-star game. I like that the game actually means something. It's not Shaq chucking up 3-pointers or a bunch of alternates playing flag football in Miami. However, I would like to say I would rather watch 10 Shaqs in a 3-point contest before I'd watch the Pro Bowl. With that being said, Bud Selig, it's a nice gesture letting fans pick the teams, but it's become obvious we can't be trusted with selecting all-stars. You want proof? Derek Jeter's an all-star. He's hitting .268 with 3 home runs and 25 RBIs, and that's an all-star? Meanwhile, Paul Konerko with his .318 average, 22 home runs, and 68 RBIs was left off initially. You can't have this game mean something and leave it up to fans to pick the teams. Either take away home field advantage or let the players and managers pick the sides. Because I'm getting tired of seeing the NL team play a mashup of the Yankees and Red Sox every year. For all of us here at Scores, Goals, and Touchdowns, we'll see you next week.